I'm branded the cult leader, the monster who taught girls to fight tradition with madness. When my 13-year-old cousin was forced to marry a man twice her father's age, I taught the girls to perform insanity, shaking, screaming, chanting just enough to void the wedding. It worked, his empire crumbled. And now, I'm the one they whisper about. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. At 9, I watched my brother Ahmed marry a 12-year-old girl. The cake was shaped like a cradle. When she stumbled during the blessing, the uncles joked she was too small for the ring. Everyone laughed, everyone but me. I felt something rupture inside, confusion, then disgust. That was the first time I realized girls in my family weren't people. They were proof, symbols, tokens passed between men to show status, and no one saw it but me. At 13, I asked why Amira, my little sister, couldn't play soccer anymore. My mother said it wasn't proper for girls. That night, I watched Amira tear up her cleats in silence. I slipped her a sketchbook instead, hoping she'd find another way to express herself. It became her sanctuary, cages filled with girls in armor, wings, scars. That sketchbook followed her everywhere. That's why I started hiding things, ideas, resistance, even rage between the lines of paper. When Fatima showed up with a bruised arm and silence stitched into her mouth, I knew they'd chosen her. Hassan's men had already picked a date. I couldn't sleep. I remembered Amira's drawings, girls roaring in chains. That night, I whispered a plan into Fatima's ear. Act insane. She stared at me like I'd lost it, then nodded. The next morning, she bit her tongue until it bled during breakfast. The wedding was postponed. That's when I knew we had something. Fatima's act spread fast. Girls began faking voices, twitching at prayers, muttering in corners. Parents blamed curses. I called it rehearsal. I met Sarah Qureshi behind the mosque. She'd once escaped a wedding by claiming demonic possession. We traded techniques, patterns, triggers. Our resistance was performance art, weaponized madness. But Amira started asking questions. Why was Fatima screaming alone? Why weren't we saving all of them? I didn't have answers, just more sketches, girls on fire, girls with stitched lips, girls who watched. Sarah introduced me to Priya AR, a nurse and survivor. She smuggled notes and bandages, taught us how to mimic seizures, fevers, hallucinations. We trained girls in shifts, midnight sessions in abandoned parking lots. One by one, ceremonies collapsed. Community elders blamed the internet. Hassan called it demonic infiltration. Still, they watched. Amira began sketching rituals with blood dripping from the ink. But then Fatima stopped eating. Her eyes went blank, not performance, but something deeper. Have we gone too far? One girl, Miriam, started screaming during a dinner, claiming invisible insects. Her father canceled the engagement on the spot. That was our biggest win yet. But 2 nights later, I found her sobbing in the school basement, clawing at her skin. What if I really am broken? She whispered. I hugged her tight. You're not, I said. But even I was beginning to wonder. Our madness was catching. Not all the girls were pretending anymore. And Hassan, he'd begun to notice. At Sarah's engagement, we staged her most dramatic episode yet, shaking, muttering, collapsing in front of elders. But the groom grabbed her arm too hard. She screamed for real. Her mother slapped her. That wasn't part of the script. Blood on her cheek. Sarah pointed at the groom and shouted. He touched me at 12. Silence, phones recorded. Then chaos. That's when Hassan's hand clamped on my shoulder, whispering, "You're next." That night, police took Sarah away for psychiatric evaluation. Her mother refused to visit. I begged Kareem, my childhood friend and now a cop, to help. He warned me Hassan had political ties, deep ones. The recordings were scrubbed from social media, but a flash drive landed in my mailbox labeled insurance. Inside Sarah's full testimony. Dates, names, photos. I felt the ground shift. We had proof. But now, Hassan knew where I lived. 2 days later, Amira vanished. No notes, no sketches, just her sketchbook left on my pillow, open to a drawing of a cage around a heart. Panic devoured me. Kareem traced a signal. Amira's phone pinged near an old warehouse Hassan once used. I went alone. The building reeked of bleach. Amira was there, silent, watching Hassan from behind a curtain. He whispered. She came willingly. I didn't believe him, but she didn't deny it. I shouted Amira's name. She flinched, but didn't move. Hassan smirked. Stepping between us, she believes in order, he said. I lunged, but Kareem arrived first, gun drawn. Hassan backed off. You'll ruin her too, he spat. Amira stepped forward, handed me a sketch. It was us fighting, but in the background, a girl watched, mouth sewn shut. Amira whispered. I didn't want to be your symbol. My fight had silenced her voice too. That night, I burned every journal. Pages documenting strategies, names, signals, all ash. Sarah was still in a psych ward, and now Amira barely spoke to me. Kareem offered witness protection. But I refused. Hassan wasn't hiding anymore. He was winning. Our resistance had become trauma theater. And the girls, they were unraveling. We needed something real now. Not madness, not art, just truth. But truth without safety was a loaded gun. I walked into the courthouse with the flash drive in my pocket. Alone, no lawyers, no press, just me and 3 women in the lobby, eyes down, wrists scarred. One of them nodded. Priya. She'd spread the word. I submitted the evidence anonymously. That night, Hassan's house was raided. But the news blamed radical female cults. No mention of names. The girls were safe for now. But I was no longer invisible, just expendable. I thought exposure would end him. Instead, Hassan held a press conference, weeping on camera, claiming victimhood. He painted us as manipulative witches, brainwashing minors into hysteria. Mothers came forward, our own, accusing us of corrupting their daughters. Amira stayed silent. Even Priya vanished. My house was egged. A news hung from my mailbox one morning. Hassan had flipped the narrative. We were no longer saviors. We were a threat to tradition, and that made us targets. Days later, Kespias showed up at my door. They'd received anonymous reports about child endangerment, mental instability, manipulation. They took Amira. I begged, shouted, cried, useless. She didn't resist. Just handed me her sketchbook and whispered, let me go. The system had swallowed her now. Pages showed girls dissolving into static. My resistance had become their cage. Hassan never lifted a finger. He didn't have to. The world did his work for him. Inside the sketchbook was a letter from Amira. Not to me, to Kespias. She wrote of nightmares, cults, my control. She lied, or maybe not. Maybe she believed it now. My stomach twisted. Was she protecting herself? Did she believe I broke her? Pages were smudged, damp. A drawing of me, stitched mouth, eyes bleeding. The message was clear. I'd lost her, not to Hassan, not to tradition, but to the thing I built trying to fight them. Alexandra Monroe, an art therapist, found me outside the KSBS office one day, sobbing into Amira's hoodie. She recognized Amira's drawings from a gallery submission months ago. Your sister isn't gone, she said. She's sending signals. Alexandra had archived every sketch, symbols, metaphors, hidden dates, a map, a plea. Amira wasn't erasing me, she was redirecting me. That night, I decoded the symbols. They pointed to a shelter. Amira wanted me to find the others first. At the shelter, I found walls covered in scribbles, birds, chains, stitched mouths, survivors of our movement, girls who once faked madness now truly lost in it. Alexandra handed me a candle. Teach them to draw, she said. I started with a sparrow, Amira's favorite. One girl mimicked it, then another. Their eyes shifted, not healed, but reaching. That night, I wrote to Amira, I see you. I'll rebuild with ink, not screams, hope inked itself again. But then Fatima disappeared. No notes, no signs, her sketchbook left behind pages blank except one, a girl blindfolded. Hands outstretched toward barbed wire. I searched hospitals, shelters, morgues, nothing. One email finally came. A video. Hassan's voice. You inspired her, he said. Fatima stood still, eyes vacant. She'll be my redemption story, he whispered. My hands trembled. This wasn't about tradition anymore. This was about revenge. He didn't need power, he needed me shattered. I met Kareem one final time. Gave him everything, drives, sketches, testimony. Don't protect me, I said. Protect the girls. He nodded, hesitated, then hugged me. It was the last time we spoke. That night, I posted a video, no disguises, no madness, just names, dates, scars. Then I vanished. Alexandra said it spread like wildfire. Some called me a liar, others, a prophet. Either way, I was gone, but the spark of that stayed. Alexandra tracked the IP from the video, somewhere rural. Kareem, off-duty now, volunteered. He found a barn with soundproof walls and a girl's shoe outside. Inside, Fatima drugged, but alive. Hassan was gone again. But this time we had photos, evidence. Priya returned, ready to testify. The girls were scattered, broken, but breathing. We called it the choir, a network rebuilt from ashes. And this time, no madness. Only melody, only names, only truth. We started coding again, this time not signals for madness, but safe houses, maps hidden in song lyrics, coordinates inside crochet patterns. Priya ran a hotline from an old clinic. Sarah, now out of psych hold, trained social workers. Girls once labeled cursed became counselors. Even Amira, from afar, sent me a sketch, 2 hands. Breaking a chain. We didn't need to scream anymore. We whispered, and that whisper turned into something unbreakable, a system outside theirs. But even systems built on truth attract betrayal. Lisa, a red herring from the past, returned to claim she's been undercover. She joined the choir, earned trust, then leaked our safe house list to media. The chaos was instant. Shelters were raided, families reclaimed, girls. One girl overdosed, another disappeared. Lisa gone, no trace. Alexandra wept. We trusted too fast, she said. So we adapted again. This time, no names, just code, just art. No leaders, just sparks. Priya suggested trauma ink tattoos that encoded locations, safe words, survival phrases. Girls lined up, arms, thighs, backs etched with sparrows, compasses, broken chains. Art as archive. Each mark a declaration. We survived. We remember. Amira's new sketch arrived, an entire mural, meant for a shelter wall. It showed every girl we'd lost, everyone we saved. No madness, just memory. We began painting it city by city, even if we disappeared. The wall would speak. Then came Hassan's final strike, a documentary, funded by conservative donors, aired nationally, called as Daughters of Delusion, used blurred clips of me, of Sarah, out of context rants, staged interviews. They called me unstable, a kidnapper, a cultist. Ratings exploded. Donations flooded his new charity, Purity First. The public turned again. I watched in silence. But this time, girls everywhere began tagging the mural, a single word under each face in broken. The story was no longer his. A girl in Oklahoma hacked the documentary's site, replaced every video with survivor art. Another in Florida projected our mural onto a courthouse. Kids in New York did a flash mob reenacting our first fake wedding breakdown. The movement mutated. Hassan tried suing, lost. Judges called it performance, not libel. Alexandra smiled. They can't silence choreography. Our madness had evolved now. It danced, painted, coded. No single leader, no head to cut, just wildfire on every wall. Eventually, Hassan fled the country, Brazil, some said. But the Interpol tip didn't come from us. It came from Amira, her drawing a raven perched on a map. Beak over Sao Paulo. Kareem verified it. Hassan was arrested at customs, charged with trafficking, coercion, abuse. He cried in court. No one clapped, no one jeered. Silence held the room. Justice wasn't celebration, it was closure. And that silence, it belonged to the girls. It was sacred. Back home, Alexandra found Amira outside a mural site, chalk in hand, no guards, no press, just colors. They hugged. Amira spoke first. I'm ready to speak now. Her first sentence in years. She held out a new sketch, me, holding a match, surrounded by flames that shaped wings. You burned it down, she said, so others could fly. I wept. Not from guilt, from release. The silence between us had turned into something holy. Sarah became a legal advocate, defending girls accused of dishonoring families. Opened a clinic for survivors with invisible wounds. Kareem trains officers in cultural trauma. Alexandra's therapy program spreads across schools, and me, I write manuals, memoirs, manifestos, no pseudonym, my name every time. Our madness became method, our method movement. We didn't end child marriage, but we made it ugly, loud, unforgettable. And that scar, it speaks, even in silence, it sings. Amira now teaches art therapy. Her students carry sketchbooks like shields, each page a protest. Her first mural hangs in a former courthouse, now a shelter. It shows a girl standing in a storm. Eyes closed, mouth open, not screaming but singing. Underneath, we were never insane, just unheard. When I saw it, I fell to my knees. The war didn't end, but the silence did. We didn't win, we rewrote what victory means, in a quiet apartment above a community center. I light a candle each night, one for every girl we saved, another for those we lost. I no longer fear the dark. Hits where we created our light. Amira visits often. She brings tea, silence, sketches. We talk less, feel more. Sometimes she laughs. That's the loudest sound in the world. I write, she draws. No madness now, just memory. And in that stillness, healing finally finds us. I reread the letter Amir wrote to Kespius, the one that took her away. I used to hate it. Now I understand it. It wasn't betrayal, it was survival. Her truth, however warped, kept her breathing. That's what we all did. Spoken codes, in sketches, in screams. Each truth served a purpose. Now I teach girls how to tell their stories in every form, even silence, especially silence. Sometimes that's the only truth the world can hear. 5 years later, Hassan's name is forgotten, his charity dissolved, his family changed their surname. The mosque where he once ruled became a community garden. I planted sparrows in the dirt, each flower a girl's middle name. No plaque, no monument, just roots, just bloom. Amira calls it living memory. The neighborhood calls it beautiful. That's enough. The last sketch in my notebook shows a girl walking away from a burning house. No tears, no smoke, just stars above her, and a blank page ahead. That's how I see us now, unfinished. Unburned, unstoppable. We were never a cult. Never mad, just misheard. Now every mural whispers our names, and every whisper a new beginning. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because I believe every story hides a truth. And sometimes, just listening can change everything.